As we kick off the school year, we are going to set the tone right as a teacher so we can prioritize our health and our well-being as this beginning of the whirlwind starts. So jump in with us. Welcome to Denny Talks, a guiding conversation to living life to the fullest. Join us for inspiring discussions on entrepreneurship, small business tips, and seizing the opportunities. Subscribe now for concise, motivating episodes that encourage you to chase your dreams, where we believe that life, dreams, and opportunities collide. Today, we are going to be talking about how this new school year has a lot of pressure, like meeting the new students, tackling a really never-ending to-do list, it feels like, and trying to just set everything up for a successful year. It can just feel really overwhelming. So trust me when I say that I have been there. I've taught fourth grade, and now I'm teaching a high school and adult media classroom. And it's really easy to just get caught up in the hustle and forget about the most important person in the equation, which is you. And I didn't always feel this way. I always felt like I had to take care of everybody else before I took care of myself in order to be successful in the classroom. And I've learned through time that that's really not exactly how I should really be approaching the situation. So let's talk about the things that are really crucial, and that's your well being. As educators, we often place our own needs in the back burner. But here's the truth is that being a teacher is a huge part of who you are, and that's true, but it's not your entire personality. And just like how you need to strive to inspire and support your students, you also need to be able to inspire and support yourself as well. So when I started living, or I say living, I use that in like quotations, outside of my classroom, something really incredible happened. I found that like my experiences beyond the classroom actually helped enrich my teaching. For instance, like I began starting to share like funny moments or things that would happen like on my farm and my animals, and I would bring that information back into my classroom, like the time that like my cow decided to like play hide and go seek in the orchard. And that actually started the whole sequel for creating our children's book called Winston and the Missing Apples. But anyways, or like the hilarious antics of like our chickens, and these stories and photos and videos I brought into my classroom, and it created this like really wonderful connection with my students, because then they could turn around and be like, oh my gosh, I have chickens too, or my dog did the funniest thing. And you can just have a lot of really great connections with your students as well. They loved hearing about my life outside of the classroom and school. And it just made our classroom feel a lot more vibrant and engaging, because we could connect on different levels, but they could also see me as a person. So then that way, when, man, I was just like really frantic one day, or I was just stressed out, they might understand a little bit more like, oh yeah, well, she's kind of got a lot going on at home, or she already told me a story about how she didn't sleep very well, so maybe that's kind of why she's a little bit on the edge. Not, you know what I'm saying? They just see you as being a little bit more human when you are sharing a little bit more about your life and your living outside of your classroom. And I always think it's funny how at the very beginning of this school year, a lot of times like your littles, like really, really littles, they think you actually sleep at school. That was always so funny to me. Anyways, okay, so let's talk about some really practical ways that you can start your year off right. So, one thing that made a huge difference for me was prepping the night before. I found that when I was prepping for like healthy meals and snacks, I wasn't like hangry or distracted like during this regular part of the school day, because I had more energy and focus to give to my students when I was properly fueled, or I didn't have to like run at lunchtime and go grab something to eat real fast and race back before the bell rang. And so if I had just planned ahead of time, then I felt like I was more at ease during the school day. Another big change was incorporating like a regular exercise schedule into my routine. So whether it was like getting a workout in before or after school, or even at lunchtime and just like going for a brisk walk, moving my body regularly made a really significant difference. I noticed that like I made my clothes fit better. It was easier to like get up and down off the floor when I was working with my students, and being physically active helped me feel more comfortable in my skin and actually feel more energized throughout the day. It's important important to remember that all of this really does take like time and practice. And so changing your routines and setting new priorities is a true commitment. So you do have to make that choice every single day. It's a decision that you make. And I think there's that saying that goes, an object in motion stays in motion. So it might feel really hard to get up and go to the gym after a really long day, but once you get started, it gets easier and easier once you have that habit and that routine set up for yourself. So incorporating these practices into your life isn't necessarily about achieving perfection. It's about making small, sustainable changes that are going to lead to really big improvements over time. So it's about living intentionally, creating a really balanced life where you can thrive both inside your classroom and outside of your classroom. So as we dive into this new school year, I really encourage you to take a moment and reflect on your own needs and your well-being, and making a plan to prioritize your health, your finding joy and outside interests, and bringing those back into your experiences in your classroom as well. Your students are going to benefit it because you're going to feel more balanced, and you're ultimately just going to be a happier you. So thank you so much for joining in on today's podcast of Denny Talks. And I hope this podcast episode helped you and you found it helpful. So please subscribe and share with your fellow educators, leave a review. You can even at the very bottom, you can say, send me a message, send a chat. And your support just helps keep this show continuing to grow and spread the message that living intentionally and thriving in all of your areas of life is what I'm here to encourage you to spread that message good. It's about setting the tone for a successful and fulfilling year ahead, embracing the journey, making those intentional choices, and watching you transform your teaching in your entire life. And so have a great day.